Hey, everybody, welcome back. Just want to let you know that the first 10 or 15 minutes of this episode, we talk about something that is not in the title, but it's all about Shawn's health journey. If you're interested in that, feel free to stay tuned. If not, you could skip forward. But I love the conversation. I think you will too.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Couple Things.
With Shawn and Andrew.
Today, we are answering all of your questions, which there were a lot, which is really exciting also, but answering your questions about our goal setting.
This has become a thing. We did several episodes on how we set our goals. People love it. We get a lot of positive emails and DMs about people doing this and it being a really good thing for themselves and for their marriage or their relationship, whatever it looks like. And so we're going to go through and hopefully clarify some questions that you might have. These are from all of you all. We'll give you shout outs along the way. Speaking of shout outs.
Yeah.
I do want to start this episode with a couple comments that we've gotten about the show.
Okay.
Brooke says, thank you both so much for being open and sharing your lives and experiences with us. We love to hear it and learn through your experiences. I do feel like that's the goal of what we're trying to do here is do a bunch of stuff, reflect on that stuff, and then share what we've learned. And I think the fun thing is because of Shawn and how awesome she is, we get to try a bunch of stuff. And then we get to share with you what we think.
And you, babe.
The best things that we've experienced are. So anyway, yeah, that's fun. You're welcome, Brooke. Thank you for listening. Vanessa says she loves the wedding crashing idea. Did you know that since we mentioned that in the YouTube video, that we're wanting to crash weddings or that we give people registry items off their wedding registry? We've gotten several dozen emails. Keep them coming, though. We love the invites. We love the DMs, the emails. Send them all our way.
Here's my thing, though. And I don't say this. This is going to be painful for me to say, and you're going to understand why. I would love to go to one of your weddings. I would love to sit there. I love weddings. I love celebrating love. I love the parties. I love everything about it. I love how it's a reflection of like the couple. However, my worst nightmare would be pulling attention of any kind away from a bride and groom who's like, it's not the most, I don't want to say the most important because like you're going to have kids or you're going to have whatever. So I don't want to like make it up to be the most important day of your life. But like, it's a huge day. And I would literally crawl inside my soul and want to dig a grave if someone was like, oh, Shawn, Andrew. I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is not us. It's all about the bride and groom.
Yeah, you're good about that. I would soak it up. That's why I'm so glad
you would not
that I'm not some international superstar like you are, because I would not have dealt with it as well as you have. Anyway, I love seeing people's wedding invitations and their notes that they include with them. It's really special. But today we're here to talk about goals. Mm-hmm. And there's a comment from the last episode we did from Amir, which says that it's life-changing, is the title of the comment. It says, you two have motivated me and my husband to create a mission and vision for our family and being more intentional in meeting our goals and giving our purpose in life a more concrete direction.
Yay.
I am so grateful to have found your podcast. I've taken all of your book recommendations, many podcast recommendations, and nearly all your goal and life-setting objectives. We have a nearly 2 and 4-year-old and have felt quickness of time nowadays. Sorry. Your content has motivated us to focus on what's important, most God, marriage, and family. Are you
good there, babe?
What is this? On what's important.
It says, your content has motivated us to focus on what's most important, God, marriage, and family.
Bless you, and I hope you continue to do this type of work for a long time. You're changing one family at a time. I did have a pastor this morning who was on Tim Keller's staff say that we're in a really unique position to use this podcast and all of our wild videos we post online to save hundreds of thousands of marriages, he said. And he said, wow, we're doing a good job. So it's kind of a responsibility.
I was going to say that makes me feel kind of sick to my stomach in the sense of like, pressure to be good. Does that make sense?
Us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To not say anything wrong.
No, I don't know. I feel that it is really unique because we started this not with the intention of doing any of this. We didn't like our intention was to have a fun podcast, right? We were 26,
but our intention was, and I remember stating that from the beginning, and I still wholeheartedly believe in that I feel like the world tries to paint a picture of marriage as if it's not perfect, it's not right, and you shouldn't stay.
You've always said that, correct?
And I have found in our marriage that the most fruitful parts of our life and of our relationship have come from really, really hard things that are not by any means perfect. And the more you kind of fight through that kind of stuff, the deeper and more fruitful your marriage is. And I think we just want to showcase that.
Yeah. You've always said that. It's good. I think just now reading this comment,
but
it hits me that like we really did start all this to share our experiences. Yeah. We did have the intention of sharing what we learned, but then it's totally different when you see the effect of that.
Yeah.
And hear stories about this. It's like, oh shoot, okay, so if we have this potential to do this or have this positive impact, it almost, I don't want it to affect what we do because I love what we do, but it is like, okay, let's at least continue to be aware and intentional and reflect on it. So
if we can bring in more professionals to keep changing people's lives, I'll say that. I'm down.
But Amir, thank you for the comment. Glad you found this useful. Hope you all find the goal setting thing useful as well. If you haven't set goals, maybe this will be a starting point for you. We've said before that this is not the only way to do this. It's not the only way to set goals.
No, but it is freaking cool.
It is pretty cool.
And it works.
I think it's like it wraps up a couple of psychological components. It uses a lot of data and quantifiable things. It's got like this relational component to it if you're married that I think is really valuable. And we can link the episode of us walking through our goals down below if you want to check that out. But go ahead.
Life updates.
Yes.
Can I give a couple?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm going to go on a quick tangent because I'm really proud and really excited. And we just got back from Park City and I actually got stopped at TSA.
This was wild.
Yeah.
I could not believe this
by a lady who wanted to know more about this because I just started talking about it on social media. So let me take you back a second. Selfishly, I have been on a health journey and health kick for a while, and I found a long time ago AG1, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with being able to take a multivitamin that was all encompassing for an adult. Fast forward to having babies. I dreamt of I went through this frustration as a parent trying to find a really good supplement for my kids because they eat Cheetos as toddlers and there's so many nutritional gaps. And within that frustration, I found good probiotics and I found good prebiotics and I found good iron supplements and I found good multivitamins and I found all of these like little puzzle pieces. But at the end of the day, trying to give our kids all of their vitamins was really frustrating because they didn't like it. There were too many to take. Or it ended up being kind of like a candy where they wanted to eat so much of it that it became another frustration. So I wanted to create an all-encompassing supplement for kids. And this has been probably a 6-year dream of mine. And it has finally come to fruition. And it's getting ready to launch. And you guys can get on the early access list. Get 40% off. If you
40% off.
40% off. Wow. If you get on the early access list, which we'll link down below. But we created it with Beam. I absolutely love this product. It's not only a really good, high standard, wonderfully made product, but it tastes good and our kids love it.
It is delicious. It is delicious.
So it's a greens powder that also has prebiotics, multivitamins, fruit blend, a greens blend. We partnered with a pediatrician, so it's all like within, it's pediatrician approved. But you mix it into milk or water and it tastes like chocolate milk. And it's sweetened with monk fruit.
So. It tastes like hot chocolate from your childhood.
It's so good.
And the kids love it. They ask for it every night. So we mix it with oat milk for Drew, normal milk for Jet. We warm it up and then we mix in the chocolate and they crush it.
We've also learned mixing it with coconut milk tastes so good. I mean, It by itself in water tastes like hot chocolate or cold chocolate milk.
There's no wrong way to take it.
We mix it with milks for our kids because they still like having milk before bed. And so this is how we mix it in for them. But it's so good. I'm so excited. I really hope you guys love it. Again, it was something that I did selfishly for my kids. And then I was like, oh, we should do this for everyone.
To Shawn's credit, she has been pounding the pavement trying to find the right partner to help bring this to life for 3.5, 4 years. I remember having a conversation at Pinewood Social downtown about this back before you were pregnant with Jet. Yeah, so it's probably 4 years. It's crazy. So,
and there are a lot of phenomenal partners out here, but at the end of the day, the person we partnered with is a really, really dear friend. We consider him family. And I trust him with our kids' like lives, and I just have such confidence in the standard of this product.
And so another update associated with that is we went out west to go see this product being made. Yeah. The first couple batches of this being made, and it's at the highest quality factory you can have.
Incredible.
And so we did that. We tasted some new flavors.
Yes.
That we're gonna roll out. So stay tuned.
Which were so good.
But we also took that as an opportunity to take the kids skiing for the first time.
Yes.
And they, to our surprise, fell in love with it.
I didn't think our kids would last 30 minutes at ski school.
6
that they were going to say, it's too cold, I'm done with this.
They lasted 6 hours.
Yeah.
Lasted 6 hours.
And just wanted to keep going. And we literally picked them up and they're like, no, can we keep going? And I was like, you've been on the mountain for 6 hours skiing.
Crazy.
As a 3 and 5-year-old.
It was like a dream come true, to be honest. I used to think that skiing, I used to snowboard. I used to think that snowboarding and being in the mountains out west was like the epitome of freedom and the good life. And then I realized that I think I've matured in some ways. And it's like, it's not about me getting to shred down the slope. It was so much more fulfilling to see my kids, which was crazy to think about, see this new activity, to spark a new interest, to have them learn something new was exponentially greater than me feeling the rush of the slope, you know.
Andrew and I went skiing and snowboarding every single year from the year we started dating. And we remember talking about how cool will it be to like have kids someday and come back here. And to think like we're living that is so wild.
I remember passing the ski school, seeing the little munchkins, saying, oh my gosh, can you imagine when our kids, and then we have kids that are doing it now
and they're in
the ski school.
The craziest, okay, we're getting way into the weeds with like life updates, but the craziest thing, Andrew and I were just giggling beside ourselves. We were walking the base of this mountain from like lift to lift to lift, just desperately searching for our kids. And it was like, it's different than dropping your kids off at like a gymnastics camp or basketball camp or whatever. You're dropping them off on a mountain.
It's a real big boy mountain.
And you're seeing these little tykes skiing past everywhere. And I was like, is that ours? Go zooming by. And it was just funny. It's like, where's my kid? But come to find out they were skiing blues on the other side. So
we got back late last night and it's good to be home. I'm so appreciative of the fact that we get to do things like that. And I'm so appreciative of the fact that we get to come home and have this wonderful life. I'm curious though, what sparked this health kick? Walk me through.
I don't know. I have spent the past 6 years of my life thinking about being pregnant, getting pregnant, being postpartum, breastfeeding. Really just focusing on like using my body for my kids, if that makes sense, for our kids. And within that, there were so many boundaries and restraints of, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of like trying new supplements or in the event that we got pregnant again, because we were still within that world and boundary of, I don't know. I was just still in the mindset of using my body in the most efficient way and perfect way of like getting pregnant. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And there was almost this like time frame too in between pregnancies where I was like, oh, I don't really want to go balls to the wall and get my body fully back to feeling super strong. And again, because I know I'm going to get pregnant again and I'm going to have another C-section and I'm going to like undo all that work almost. So I would still work out in between pregnancies and start to feel strong again. But in the back of my mind, it was always like don't commit too hard because we're going to go through it again. And now that I feel like we're done, it's just this feeling, this health kick is this feeling of like, I want to be the best parent I can possibly be. We're watching our kids ice skate and ski and fall in love with like massively physical activities. And I want to join them and I want to play. And I don't want to feel like I'm too old or too sore or out of shape or whatever. And I just feel like I'm a better parent when I feel really good about myself.
There was not a single event that happened that sparked this. I'm curious.
No. Do you think there was an event?
No, I'm trying to remember. But I'm proud of you. I feel like it has changed how you approach life and approach the day. So it's cool to see the side effects of this. I still would say if I had to choose between having a physically fit wife or a wife who loved herself fully, I think I would definitely choose option B. But I would love a world that both existed. You know what I'm saying?
And I think it does now.
Good.
And to answer your question, I don't think there was one event that happened. I think this pregnancy and birth and postpartum was the absolute hardest on me. And we've talked about, I really think I experienced like postpartum depression for the first time. And the recovery process was so much harder this time and so much more painful, which was odd. And it was just the first time I really felt not strong. And people ask what I mean by that. I don't mean like I can do 10 pull-ups or like whatever. Like I felt physically vulnerable. Not being able to like pick up my kids and feel strong, and my back would always hurt every day, and like I just didn't feel. It's weird coming from my mind, because my mind at the end of the day is almost like an athlete's mind, because it didn't feel safe. I didn't feel like I could just go do something without potentially getting hurt. And I just didn't like that feeling. I felt very lost. And I feel more in control now, which makes me feel like I should go see a therapist.
That's interesting. You're doing blood work. You're doing a bunch of wearables that give you a bunch of information. You got your daily workout that's for an hour. She's in there deadlifting, cleaning, all the things.
Yeah.
Food you've been really diligent about. I've been impressed. And I think one of the things over the long run that got you interested in this is your energy levels were low. You were irritable. I think something with sleep too.
Yeah. Pregnancy and postpartum really made me feel hijacked, my body. My mind was in a weird place. No matter what I did or no matter how I slept, I never had energy. And so it just kind of set me out on this journey of like, I've kind of read and dabbled in the pregnancy world of like how much it can change your body. And I don't think I really realized that until after the third one. But it like really kind of messes up your body. And I've been trying to not fix that. Like I know I'll never be the person that I was before we had our kids, and I don't need to be ever. But I wanted to fill in gaps where things were not right.
I remember you being pregnant for the first time and realizing how much of a blessing that was, because it changed the focus or the goal of your body from being like, I don't know, something for vanity's sake to something to grow a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems like it's the third chapter where it's like for the health of the family.
Yeah. What are we doing here?
Well, I'm actually just curious because you've been.
I just had like a weird. Is this are you interviewing me?
I'm actually just interested because you spent a lot of time on this recently.
I was like, did you just hijack this podcast? Are we doing a different episode? Then I realized. Okay. Yes, I feel like I've gone through different phases in my life. So like we started before kids. I was very selfish about how I looked at my body, how I felt about my body, how my body performed. Everything that I thought about before kids was about me, was about other people's opinions, what they thought of me, how I looked comparatively speaking to like societal standards. It was all vain, and my insecurities drove that. as soon as I got pregnant for the first time, we've talked about this. It was the first time in my life I felt freedom from eating disorders and like mental health issues that came with insecurities around vanity, around food and weight and image. Because in that instant, it had nothing to do with me anymore, and it had everything to do with a baby. And it's almost like a switch flipped, and I was like, I need to protect this baby at all costs. So the machine that's carrying it, my body, I need to protect and make, function as best possible for the baby. Fast forward, that's kind of the phase I was in for the 6 years that we had all 3 kids. And now afterwards, it is still about our kids more than anything. Like the vanity is still not back, which I love. I don't really care. Like I've had trainers and stuff ask me like, oh, are your clothes fitting better? Are you feeling better? Like, trying to gauge where my goals are. And it has nothing to do with a scale, and it has nothing to do with clothes. And it has everything to do with like, I want to be the parent that's like knee deep in the mud with my kids and not being like, oh, I'm just too tired. I can't do it today. And I want to dive headfirst into the pool or the ocean or go skiing and be chasing our kids down the blues and black diamonds. And like, I just want to be able to keep up at such a high pace with our high paced kids and then never be affected by, oh, my mom and dad didn't want to, or they couldn't.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Good job. Interview's over. Okay. No. I just think, I don't know. Yeah, it is related to the episode though, because that's been a major goal of yours.
It has.
And
it's actually been fascinating to see how those goals have changed throughout the years. Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking at our goals from 2024. And my health and fitness goals, which we have a category for health and fitness, was strictly like have a safe and healthy pregnancy, have a safe and healthy delivery, and like postpartum goals that had nothing to do with weight. It was like build a support team for postpartum, breastfeed or nurse my attempt to for however long, Yeah.
You've done a great job.
Thanks.
I also think it gives insight into how we approach something like setting goals. So let's transition back into the episode. All right, Shawn, I don't know if you knew this, but I'm really into history, and I thought it was really interesting to learn that for thousands of years, explorers searched for a mythical fountain of youth.
Really?
I'll tell you how the story ends. They never found it. But we do have collagen supplements in 2025. Amen. And while it's not a miracle, it is proven to be good at helping you look and feel younger and more healthy. The best collagen, in our opinion, is made by Ancient Nutrition.
I take their collagen supplement every single day. It's amazing for your hair, your skin, your nails, and can also reduce joint pain because we're getting old. Their multi-collagen advanced lean supplement contains 10 types of collagen from 10 real food-based sources, which is really hard to find. It also promotes healthy weight management and can help build lean muscle. Honestly, what more could you want in a supplement?
Exactly. Plus, it's delicious and it's easy to work into your daily routine by mixing it into your morning coffee or smoothie, whatever your style is, it works. And we've seen results since incorporating this powerhouse supplement for sure.
Right now, Ancient Nutrition is offering 25% off your first order when you go to ancientnutrition.com/EastFam.
That's ancientnutrition.com/EastFam for 25% off your first order.
ancientnutrition.com/EastFam.
As we mentioned, we did a whole YouTube live episode where we talked about doing our goal setting method that we do every year. We've done it for 7 years now. It's been a game changer for us. I was just tickled this year at how close our visions for our life were this year. It used to be that Shawn and I had different visions that we were far off from. Mm-hmm. And then we became close to our vision kind of individually. And then what's happened next is we've grown closer in our vision and we've grown closer to actually that being reality. Mm-hmm. So anyway, gave you a free download, which we'll also link down below here. It's like a little Google Doc. And if you missed that episode, we'll link the episode as well. But we did get a lot of good questions that we wanted to address that we didn't have time for in the episode. So we've listed them out here and we're going to walk through them one by one. So we hope this episode and The initial one inspires you to really reflect and dream about not only the year ahead, but how you're living, where you want to go, why you're here. I mean, it's kind of existential, but it's like, I really believe, I've said this for years, I really believe each and every one of us was put here with a special story, a special experience, and a special message that nobody else can share. So it's like, you don't have to have a podcast for that. You can have your coworkers or your teammates or your family or whoever that is. It's like, but you're here for a purpose. And we were asked the other day, what does empowerment mean to you? And I think it's like knowing with full confidence that you have a reason to be here and you own that role. You're part of the story, but you're not the hero of the story, right? So it's like this, it's almost, some people define humility as not giving too much or too little credit to yourself, right? It's like giving credit where credit's due. And you can't overhype yourself and call yourself the hero, but you also can't say, mope around and say, I don't have a reason to be here. It's like, no, own why you're here. So hopefully this process brings you closer to that. But you answer the first one if you're good with it.
The first question that was sent in says, when you say goal, what's the difference between that and a New Year's resolution? I'm curious what you would say to this. A New Year's resolution, I feel like stereotypically is like, what do I need to drastically change this year from last year that I need to start on January 1st and not break for an entire year? And I feel like that's really daunting and not realistic. I think we mean goal in the sense of we reflect on the year that we had and we aim to like tweak things, but it's not like I'm giving up dairy. I don't want to have dairy for all of 2025 starting January 1st. And if I break that, I'm breaking my New Year's resolution. It's more of like a whole view of your life.
Yeah, I agree. I think goal is a bigger picture thing. And I think within a goal, you have different resolutions that are part of that. So
yeah.
If Shawn's on this health journey, maybe the resolution is to eat less of this or do more of that or work out more. It's like a collection of different focused resolutions. I think goal is just more intentional, game planned, mapped out. That's at least how we approach it.
Yeah.
Next, does your goal setting method work for a single person? Would I need to do anything differently when following your method? No, but I do think having a sounding board of people in your life, whether it be your parents or your friends, your roommates, maybe some close teammates. I even put together a list I call the Council of Andrew.
Wow.
It's inspired by the Lord of the Rings, the Council of Elrond.
Yeah.
And they all sit around and it's like, Abe Lincoln did this with this team of rivals. If you've read that book,
I think it's really nice.
You have different perspectives of people that say, you know what, that actually doesn't feel like you, or I don't think that is the direction you need to go. And maybe you heed their advice, maybe you don't, but regardless, having a third party that is close to you and knows you well and has known you well really does add an important element. But yes, you can do it while you're single.
Absolutely single.
Next.
Says Shawn, you are clearly really driven and learn to set goals for yourself at an early age. How is your goal setting now similar and different to your goal settings back then? So I kind of want to challenge that. I did learn to set goals as a young kid, but I will say a lot of my goals were driven by my coach. So because I was a kid in gymnastics, I showed up to gymnastics to play. My coach behind the scenes was strategizing of like, this is the next goal for the level. And I kind of just followed. So I actually think I'm a better goal setter now than I was then because now I have to do it. I have to strategize. I actually have to put the game, plan together, and I have to execute it without a coach. I have the best teammate in the world though. But I think it's very, very different. I think I learned a lot from my coach, but the difference is like now it's on us.
You've done a great job. I've been impressed. It is interesting as an athlete, you have so many people who set the infrastructure of your life up.
Yes.
And the routine and the schedule. And then you leave that, and that's why the transition's so hard. It's like the rug gets pulled out from
jarring.
You, and then you have to become your own coach or like set your own thing. And you've done a phenomenal job at that. So,
thank you, baby.
Yeah.
You too.
Okay. What has made you so passionate about this topic? It's cool to see. I think what's made us passionate about this is that it's worked. Man, I wake up every day and I'm freaking pumped about life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, that doesn't mean there's not hard things that happen. There's conversations that I dread having. There's stressful moments, but you're like, holy frick.
Yeah.
Let's go. I don't know. There's something about knowing that you have a role to play here. I don't know. And we were not always like that, which is why I'm so passionate about it. I used to be like this college dude. I talk about it like wore a Mexican poncho, had dreadlocks, and thought the purpose of life was just like freedom, whatever that meant vaguely. And now Vandy. It's like, dude, you have responsibilities that you get a positive impact and it's making a positive difference. It's like, so the goals play into that because you're like, shoot, okay. It's almost like a type of organization. You build this awareness and this dashboard of what am I doing with my life? And is it what I want to be doing? You were about to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I feel like less and less and less are we finding ourselves sitting somewhere and saying, why are we doing this? What are we doing with our lives? I feel like 7-8 years ago when we started this, it was kind of like, yeah, we were doing things and it was cool and it was fun. But we asked that question a lot. We'd be like, what are we doing? Where are we going with this? And now it feels like we're actually like on a path.
Yeah. And it's come at a cost in some ways where it's like, you know, we've changed our videos and our whole content of what we make. And that's lessened the viewership, if you will. But it makes us more excited to do things. And now we have a plan for our money. We have a plan for our marriage. We have a plan for our kids. It's like, I just think it's important. And we have mentors that have so drastically helped us in this area that I feel like it would be a disservice if we didn't turn around and share it with other people. But I was just sitting down with a 50-year-old guy the other day, and he was like, I don't know how my marriage ended up here, and I don't know where it's going. And you're like, frick, you should think about this not in one big chunk.
Yeah.
Sporadically. If you think about things more frequently, consistently, it's going to have a way more positive outcome. It's like, do the maintenance so you don't have to do the overhaul. You're next.
How do you stay on track with your goals? Do you do a mid-year check-in? And if so, how many do you do and for how long? Okay. So we don't technically do a mid-year check-in on our goals in particular. But I will say we reference our goals a lot. But then we've also talked about like our cadences with routines where we do date nights every week, which give us a chance to kind of talk about how are things going, kind of in the sense to the yearly goals. It's not like we're sitting down every Thursday night and saying, oh, how are you doing on this? But when you go through that process so intensely, they're kind of like written in your brain.
Yeah, it's almost like your operating system. So it's the fruit of how you live your life. More than it is like some foreign thing that you're trying to force happen, you know?
And then on top of every Thursday night, we do date nights with each other where it's just Andrew and I, where we can kind of talk through things. Every Sunday night, we sit down and we do a scheduling kind of meeting where we schedule out the entire next week. That's kind of a chance for us to say, oh, we wanted to hang out with friends once a week. We wanted to make sure we did 5 dinners with the kids every week so we can kind of implement it there. We also do monthly check-ins with each other where we will go to a coffee shop, and that's kind of where we can debrief life and bring up any grievances or anything, but also reference back to our goals and kind of our morals and our values that we're kind of wanting to make the compass of everything.
But when you write it down, it brings it to an awareness where you're like, hey, Shawn, you said you wanted to do X, Y, Z, and you haven't done it a single time.
Yeah.
You know, you're not doing it 4 times a week like you wanted to. So you know when something's off because you're thinking about it more.
Yeah.
Next. How do you inspire yourself to dream when you're feeling stuck or out of ideas in this phase of life?
Then do the goals. 1,000%. write down the absolute craziest things that come to life and start just doing something different every day.
That's a good question. I mean, life does come in phases. Shoot, we felt that. Our marriage comes in phases, like how much we're vibing. I think not every phase of life is a dream phase. I think there's certain phases where like you just got to show up and do the daily disciplines, which again benefits from the goals, because if you have the daily discipline set up, then it gets you through those stuck moments and sets you up really well for the dream phases. But I think, I don't know, new contexts and environments help. So go to a coffee shop that you don't go to, or go on a hike or whatever. I think nature helps a bunch. A little conversation or a game can get you out of like the monotony or the survivor mode we used to call it in football. Yeah. So I think try to dabble in something new, and you'll start seeing this constellation of opportunities or ideas or things that you can make happen. And I also think serving. Sorry, we talk about this a lot too, like getting the perspective away from you or the focus away from you towards other people really kind of loosens the grip, like that white knuckle effect of why aren't things going my way? It's a massive perspective shift when you're like, hey, let me just change that focus away from myself towards someone else. Mm-hmm.
How do you prioritize personal goals versus family goals and find a balance there without feeling guilty? Trial and error. Completely trial and error. So to give you an idea, last year for our 2024 goals, all of my personal goals were kind of around having Bear, our third kid, doing the whole postpartum thing, just wanting to kind of make it through that, if that makes sense. And then we had a bunch of family goals. But it almost was a reflection of the goals that I set for myself personally, where there probably wasn't enough personal goals for me set, because I kind of lost myself that year. I had a really hard time. And so now in 2025, I tried to make more goals where it's like, let's prioritize personal a little bit more, not more than family, but try to add in some more time so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's interesting to think of the outcomes here. Nobody benefits if you're not personally fulfilled and you're thus kind of bringing your community or family down as a result. Absolutely. You're not contributing as much as you could. Nobody benefits if you're only looking out for yourself and not for the community or your family, right? Sorry, you benefit, but I think it's a short-term game.
Yes.
I think the sweet spot, how we view personal care and all this type of stuff, is you're not over-indexing. It's not all about you. It's like putting yourself in the best position to contribute to others and to this role that you've been called to play, right? So it's like that means energy, that means health, playing the long game in that realm. And it's like it is a fine balance of personal care, right? Because you'll need to sacrifice one or the other continuously. But you do a good job at it. And
thank you. So do you, baby.
Your balance is really impressive.
And it's only been through failures that we've kind of figured that out.
Let me know if you ever need a change, though.
I will. You as well.
Okay. Do you plan for variables if plans need to change, or just handle that on the fly? Yeah, we're not super rigid and structured with this. It's not like we have a checklist of these things we need to do every day. Really, I guess we kind of do, but it's not like we're very flexible. Like we're rigid in our vision, flexible in our execution. Meaning, hey, I didn't work out for the last 3 days. We were traveling.
Yeah.
There's a prioritization that happens where it's like we were traveling because we want to take the kids skiing. That's the kids' experiences in that instance far superseded my workout schedule. Yeah. So I think I would answer your question. It's we don't plan for it. We just prioritize.
Well, even when in the past we've written out a wild goal for our business or a wild goal for us, we'll go back to reflect on it the next year. It's like, oh yeah, we quit that in the first month. That was like absolutely not for us. We had this goal.
Yeah.
We started doing it and we were like, no, actually terrible. And I think just understanding that you're not writing out a concrete map for yourself for the year. You're literally just writing out like what you think your year should look like or could look like, and then you kind of adapt as you go.
I think that's really well said. Yeah. It might not work out because you lose personal interest in it.
Yeah.
That's different than you tapping out of a thing that you should be doing.
For sure.
But it also might not work like if it's a business thing that maybe there's no customers or there's no buyers or whatever. So there's like different reasons that dreams die, and that's fine.
Or we've written goals before where it's like we want to host 100 people at our house once a week every year. Like we've written something similar to that. And
true story.
We'll go reflect on it the next year and you're like, you know what? Once every 3 weeks was actually the cadence that we found that we liked. So let's switch it this year to once every 3 weeks instead of once every week.
Yeah, because it almost destroyed our marriage if we kept up that first cadence,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Did it?
I skipped, the hosting people?
Yeah.
No, there's priorities.
Yeah.
We stopped the game nights because our marriage needed more focus.
Yeah, and our kids.
So that was one thing that changed. We skipped this question.
Oh.
All right, listen up. We have some fun news. Most of our listeners are finding our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And now you can also find us on the app called Cooler FM with comments, reactions, leaderboards, and more. Cooler is a unique way for us to engage with you more before and after listening to our episodes. And we're really excited to be joining with them and bringing an even more personalized approach to podcasts. I really love this platform because my favorite way to consume podcasts is on a video format like YouTube, not because of the video, but because of the comment section and the feedback and the conversation that gets started there. And Cooler is the audio version of that. You can interact and engage with listeners, us as creators, and it's a blast. Download it from cooler.fm. That's a website. Type in cooler.fm into your browser and register with our exclusive invite code, Couple Things. We'll see you there.
Do we just keep the list in our mind or do we print it out physically so you can reference it throughout the year? We keep it on our computers, like on a Word document. So easily accessible, but not like printed out. Whatever you want.
But it translates, the goals that you set translate to the calendar that you set. So we do have a printed calendar. Shawn has multiple of these. She has one linear calendar, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
So it's each day left to right. We have a monthly calendar that she'll update. That's a dry erase. It also affects, like, we have a finance app that we use that sets the budgets for X, Y, and Z. And so it kind of trickles through other physical products from these goals.
Yeah.
Next. Could you do this in a much shorter amount of time if needed? With my kids, it's hard to have several hours alone. Yeah, chip away at it.
Yes and no. You can't do it in a lot shorter time. I wouldn't recommend that. But I do think you can do it in little chunks of time over the course of many days or weeks or whatever.
There is something in the creative world, like psychologically, when you're primed into this and you're able to have a block of time where you're like, all right, I know for the first half hour, my creative juices are just going to kind of be acclimating, and then I'll be focused for 2 hours, whatever. But I would say something is better than nothing.
But if you could, put your kids to sleep and sacrifice to a certain extent an hour of your sleep every night for a week or whatever.
Yeah.
I think having the time alone is important. But
or like, I don't know what the situation is, but whatever money a babysitter would cost, I know you're trying to watch out for the kids, but think about working on the family and not in the family is super important sometimes. And so like creating a vision for your family and how you're raising your kids, what you're doing now versus what you want to be doing, that's worth several hours.
Next, could we have our older kids involved in this, or should we keep it to just us parents doing the goal setting method? Absolutely involve your kids. We started involving our kids this year in such a small way because they're so little and they don't really understand what goal settings are. But I do think there's a lot of aspects to the goal setting that your kids aren't involved in. Like if you're talking about finances for the family, you don't, maybe you do have your older kids involved. That's up to you and your family. But I do think teaching your kids this at a young age and having them involved with like, what goals do you want for our family? What do you want to change? What do you want to see incorporated? What goals do you have for yourself? I think is incredible. That's how we technically started this, was your dad sent us a goal setting sheet that we kind of
He would pay us $20 if we filled out his little sheet
and sent it back.
Shared it. Yeah, it's pretty great.
And then he would check in throughout the year, which was really cool.
Yeah, he did a great job with that. Yeah, I think including the kids and like the traveling, the serving, the home section that we have, what activities they want to do. Our kids are a little on the younger side, so we're not fully experiencing this yet. But like, we have several family trips planned this year. What do they want to do? Like starting to get their ideas, or just even our kids are at a fun age where we could say, "Hey, what goals do you guys want?" And yeah, the one this year was snow, I think.
They said which we gave them.
But it's an adorable format or experience to have with your kids to ask them that. Next.
Any goals you recommend having as we enter our first year of marriage? Oof. That's hard. Part of me wants to say we can't set goals for you. But part of me also wants to say like goals for your first year of marriage. You could say start with dates. How many dates do you want to go on in your first year of marriage? Is it 20 in a year? Once a month? Once a week? Do you want to go on a trip together? Do you want to pay off debt together? Do you want to merge finances? Do you want to work on having a closer relationship with your in-laws? Do you want to get a pet? Do you guys have jobs that you enjoy? Do you want to keep those jobs? It could be anything. But understanding that since it is your first year of marriage, every goal you guys set individually affects each other, I think is
that's
something to learn from.
First year of marriage is really fun.
And this.
It's also such a learning experience.
And the fact that you're doing goals in your first year of marriage, you're already way ahead of us.
Yeah. I think it's an opportunity to probably have conversations that might not have been had before marriage, maybe on the finance side of things or whatever. But just know that you are starting to build habits together. And so that's worth thinking about, at least bringing awareness to the habits that you have, I think is good. So
it's also a great way to learn about each other early on in marriage, which is really cool.
Yeah. Can someone who's lower income or on a fixed income do the goal setting method? It's free. I mean, it's a free template. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone can make goals.
Go for it.
How to not feel discouraged if you don't end the year how you wanted. I mean, I think that's something cool about the goal setting is like there's so many goals you're making. So even if you come up not short, but if you don't like fulfill all of them, you're still fulfilling some of them.
Yeah, so it's like what are you focusing on?
Yeah.
That's a great thing. I do like that about this, where you're documenting everything. There's, again, I think we have 150 little data points that I'll gather and we'll walk through. And it's like, yeah, you're not going to hit them all. Duh. But you're going to hit some. So like it simultaneously could be discouraging or be something that builds your confidence because you're like, oh, shoot, I did hit X, Y, and Z. And I know that came at the cost of not hitting X, Y, and Z, but these mean more. Or I know that I can do this next year, I
also think you're refining your life. So the first year when we wrote our goals looked like 180 degrees different than what our life was at the time. And so fast forward a year when we did our second goal setting, we reached maybe 15% of our goals because we were drastically changing our life. But then the next year we fulfilled a little bit more and like it's gotten to be, I don't want to say more successful, but more accurate because the refinement is getting smaller. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Shawn and I have been talking about what we want our 2025 story to be, and it's easy to set resolutions that fade by February, but we want to live a life where we stick to our goals and see them through. A great way to stay on track with your goals this year is with therapy. Think of therapy as your editorial partner, helping you write new chapters and create the meaningful story you deserve to live. We're actually writing a book right now and experiencing that.
And we go to a lot of this therapy. Going to therapy is a wonderful habit we'll definitely be bringing into 2025. Therapy has benefited us individually and as a couple for years. I think more so last year than any year ever. If you're wanting to start therapy but aren't sure where to start, BetterHelp is a great option because BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide.
You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties and switch therapists anytime at no extra cost.
Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/EastFam today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/EastFam.
But as soon as you document wanting to do something and then you experiencing actually doing that thing, it creates this momentum that just snowballs, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can do stuff. I'm not like a victim in life. I can set out to do something that I want to do. So that's how.
Do the questions you ask each other about vision casting at the meeting change year to year, or do you keep the same questions every year? I think so far the only way they've changed is they've grown. So I think we started out with fewer categories when we first started because we didn't have kids. We didn't really have our business. We weren't involved with like philanthropy as much. So with each year, it's just kind of grown where we ask more and more questions because there's more categories involved. But you're still asking the same questions. Sorry.
And more nuance. So like the giving section, philanthropy, started off as let's give X amount of money. And then we realized like, oh, wait, there's more we could do here that we like doing. So let's serve ourselves X amount of times on top of the giving. And then it was, hey, let's host events. And then it so it kind of grows, and it breaks down more into more subcategories. But yeah, that's it. Okay. Those are great questions. Thank you all. I know we took a slight detour at the beginning, but it was worthwhile if you ask me.
Thank you, Raymond.
Hope that was helpful. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know if you have any other questions. We can address those later. And we love hearing from you all. We're so appreciative that we get to do this. What a wild world. I love you.
I love you, Raymond.
I'm grateful for you, and hope you have a great day.